Welcome to another episode of This Week in Disney YouTube with Mr. Choo Choo Theme Park Conductor. We are reacting to two West Coast staples. We got Hey Bricky and Dave from Fresh Baked. We're talking DCA. We got all kinds of updates from Dave, construction stuff. We're going to break these videos down. I got Conductor with me, as always, with Bowser behind him. Up next on OG 50.
I ain't got nothing to say but West Side.
Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. I got Mr. Conductor with me today. We're reacting to Dave from Fresh Baked and Hey Bricky. We got OG Conductor, Bricky, and Dave. You can't get more West Coast than that. Conductor, welcome back on the show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me back on for this next episode in this magical series, This Week in Disney. It's so awesome that Bricky and David from Fresh Baked are, like OG said, West Coasters. Gotta love it. And these guys, no matter what family things they have going on, no matter what schedule things they have going on, they always go to the park and provide content for us, and I love it. It's amazing.
Yep, much love to them because like you said, Conductor, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of life gets in the way for everybody. You know what I'm saying? You, me, Bricky, Dave, we all have stuff going on outside of content. And these two gentlemen are out there in the trenches, at the parks, doing this content, walking Harbor Boulevard, checking out the Coco stuff. I mean, it's a lot. So big shout out to these gentlemen. And that's why we react to them. Number one, because they put the work in. Number two, we just love their nerdy minds, how they operate, because we are very similar to that, so.
Oh, absolutely.
But Conductor, where can everybody find you on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor, on Instagram at theme_park_conductor, on X at Theme Conductor, TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1, and every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we break down Universal Disney news. We interact with the chat interacts with us. We have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Go 55 with that wild, wicked patent hair, and so many others. And we just had you on yesterday with Sam Chat, which was his first time. Absolute blast. Definitely encourage everyone to go check it out. And then the big news, this Sunday, February the 1st, 2026, first time ever, we will be having Hey Bricky on the channel with Orange Go 55 and Tommy Toon World, and it's going to be a fantastic live stream. It's going to be starting at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yep. Be there this Sunday, February 1st. We got OG Conductor, we got Bricky and Tommy Toon. It's gonna be a banger show, so check it out on Conductor's channel, and I'll be promoting it on the community tab and all that stuff too, so you'll be able to find it really easy. Conductor, let's rock and roll, my friend. We got the first video, which is courtesy of Bricky, his secondary channel, the Bricky Vlog. Go ahead and subscribe to him, smash that like button. DCA in 2025, big progress or new problem? You know me, I love DCA. I love talking about it. It's a park with a lot of potential. Will Disney live up to that potential? We will see. Let's have Bricky take it away. Here we go.
25-year in review on Disney's California Adventure, all of the construction projects and operational changes that happened over the course of the year. What do you say? Let's go month by month, looking at the year that was as we plant the seed for the year to come. In January of 2025, Disneyland would kick off a new year with a new version of DCA on the horizon. We'd see not one, but two new attractions go into construction as they would finally start to finish off the promise, which was Avengers Campus. Two attractions at once, that's something that this park and this land in particular definitely needs, and a big step in the right direction. However, we do have to judge 25 with these things not being a part of the overall vibe of the year. Definitely a good seed of trust that's being grown into the future. Will these rides live up to expectations? Will they look like they went through the era of cutbacks that I talked about?
Yeah, and here's the thing, real quick, before we move on. I think the Avengers e-ticket will be fine. I think that one will deliver. I do. I think it'll be. I think, look, there'll be screens, obviously, but I think it's going to be weaved in with a lot of big set pieces. I think at the end of the day, that ride will deliver. The Kuka Arm thing, to me, I mean, I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of red flags with the Kuka Arm. Number one, this whole thing with this whole narrative from Disney about how the ride system is the theme, that to me is a cop-out. That's lazy, okay? I'm going to be real up front. I think the Kuka Arm technology is the theme, is super lazy. The other thing that I'm worried about with the Kuka Arm is it's a lot of this like, oh yeah, recruits, we're going to train you to be a superhero, yada, 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 all that stuff, which is fine. But are we going to have a payoff? Is the training going to pay off? And that's my biggest complaint about this attraction. It doesn't seem like it's going to. It seems like we're going to get up in the air. They're going to whirl and twirl you. And, you're going to jump like Hulk and fly like Iron Man and da-da-da-da-da. And then, all right, that was your training and you're going to land and you're done. For me personally, I think that kind of attraction, you need a big payoff. You need to have like, hey, something went wrong. Now you got to put your training to use. Now you got to fight this bad guy or whatever. I don't think they're going to do that. And that's my biggest problem. So the Kuka Arm thing, I'm really concerned about that. It seems lazy and cheap.
Yeah.
The e-ticket, I think, will deliver. But before we continue with Bricky, what do you think, conductor?
So I have serious issues with this because, again, like you said, is it going to pay off? I personally, maybe the hype will be there for the first couple weeks. After that, it's going to die off. No one's going to want to go on it because no one wants to be thrashed around. And Legoland, good friend of ours, Mr. Webba, who I think still works at Legoland. Am I correct on that?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So he still works at Legoland. They used to have a Kuka Arm attraction out there. They got rid of it. Do I think this is going to be an epic failure once it officially opens to the public? I do. I have massive concerns with it. And what I think is going to wind up happening, sorry to say it, like I said, the hype's going to be there right at the beginning, die off real quick. And at some point, and I don't know how weird this is going to be, but they would have to close that section of the attraction off and maybe expand Infinity Defense into that footprint because the Kuka Arm thing's not going to last.
I think the Kuka Arm thing was probably technology, a remnant of the original e-ticket concept, because there was a whole thing with the Quinjet and it was going to explode. And then you were going to go off on your own jetpack, and that jetpack thing was going to be the Kuka Arm. So I think, Josh Giamaro was probably looking at this going, okay, we have this Kuka Arm technology. Why don't we utilize it for a secondary attraction if we're not going to utilize it in the e-ticket? I respect the efficiency. I respect the fact that they're trying to get a second attraction out of the equation. The problem, though, for me personally, is DCA already has an uphill battle. It sits just feet away from Disneyland, the best theme park in the world. You got to come with it. Okay, I get it. Like, it's DCA, and a lot of fans are kind of like low expectations. Who really cares? I understand that mentality. And even Disney kind of has that mentality a little bit with DCA, which makes me sad. I just wish they would go a little harder with it. I don't mind the Kuka Arm thing, but like do like a Harry Potter or like something that actually
Yes.
has like a theme to it. Like it's the ride system, but it's not the theme. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be cool to have like say a Kuka Arm Doctor Strange attraction or a Kuka Arm Ant-Man ride or something, right? Where you go through a city and you go in and out of show pieces and what have you, set pieces. But
Sure.
just to have you in a warehouse and you're just flying around on this Kuka Arm and then you have Tony Stark in your ear, I'm sorry. You know, I just think it's a cop out and
It is. Well,
we'll see. I think to be fair, I don't want to be super negative. I think the e-ticket's going to deliver, but that Kuka
yeah.
Arm thing just feels like the laziness we saw with DCA 1.0. It's like, come on, we're past that. Why
Well,
aren't we,
see,
you know,
well,
go ahead.
see, I have my concerns as well because to me the Kuka Arm thing kind of screams, you know, City Carnival. That's the first problem I have. The second thing is, again, I wouldn't mind it, and I told you this a long time ago before we started this series was, you know, since both attractions, Infinity Defense, Stark Flight Labs, are literally in the same building, it wouldn't have been cool, I personally think, if, you know, the Tony Stark Flight Lab would kind of you know, have a story to it as you're so basically you would ride Stark Flight Labs as the beginning, get trained, and
Right.
at some point that ride vehicle and then the Infinity Defense ride vehicle would meet up together at some point in a show element and
Right.
fight King Thanos, or maybe who knows, there might be multiple enemies. There might be a King Thanos. Then the next time around that people go on it, it might be a Doctor Doom villain. Who knows?
Right. And I've suggested that before too. I agree with you. I think that you could have had the climax, the training for the Kuka Arm attraction pay off if you kind of merge the finales to these attractions, but it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like they want to do that. So we'll kind of see how it shakes out. It's fascinating.
Yesterday on my main channel, Hey Bricky, only time will tell. But of course, me and every Disney fan is hoping that these attractions are the new beginning of the next phase of Disney getting back to being creative forward over budgeting and overcharging second, or not at all, but it can't totally go away because it is a business. The scale of these projects is very, very impressive. And I believe it probably got a lot of naysayers thinking about this project in an entirely different way. Like, it is huge. I, for one, I'm keeping a very, very open mind that this is what DCA needs. The Iron Man attraction, pretty sure I'll never be able to ride it, or it'll be a one and done for me. But I do have the capability of being happy for others, even though something doesn't exactly pertain to me. We'll be watching this all.
And I agree with Bricky on that 100%. Like that attraction is not for me, but I can be happy for others that are into that thing, right? Like I think the Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift, that attraction is not for me. I'm not a big thrill junkie, but I think that ride is impressive. It looks to be very impressive and it will fit beautifully in Hollywood. And I think it's exactly what that park needs.
Definitely.
But here's the difference between the Kuka Arm and Hollywood Drift. Hollywood Drift, I think, was a brilliant use of space. You're basically utilizing the hillside, which was honestly Universal Hollywood's biggest weakness is that stupid hill with all those escalators. You're utilizing basically the biggest weakness of that park, and you're turning it into a selling point to this new roller coaster. That in and of itself is brilliant. Then you have a roller coaster themed to Fast and Furious, which is very much an LA kind of attraction. It's LA, I mean, very much an LA kind of franchise. So the theme is, and it makes sense in the context of Fast and Furious, the theme is like LA, and you can get a beautiful view of the San Fernando Valley and Warner Brothers and all this stuff off to the distance. I think it works beautifully for the context of that attraction.
Sure.
This thing, though, you're in a warehouse on a Kuka Arm. The theme is literally the Kuka Arm. For me personally, it doesn't really, I don't know. And I'm with Bricky. Look, I'll be optimistic, like in the sense where like, if it turns out really, really cool and it really blows minds, I will be the first one to say I was wrong. I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
For me, if you're going to do a Kuka arm, just have some set pieces like you're going through a city or something, just to kind of throw you in a warehouse and be like, yeah, we're going to train you. Honestly, I think it's lazy. I do.
I personally, like I said, I think it was very lazy. I think from updated information we've gotten just recently, that not only just these two attractions are going to exist, but we're also going to have a kind of quick service sit down location restaurant besides Pim Test Kitchen in this area where these two attractions are going to be. We might even have, well, we have the merch shop inside the Avengers campus building. But my whole thing is, and I want to bring this up to you since I mentioned that, if
Sure.
they have a space with these two attractions, if they have a space to sit there and put a quick service sit down location, another one in this area, don't you think it wouldn't have been a much better idea if they took a page out of, and I know it's going to get people excited, take a page out of Knott's Berry Farm and Camp Snoopy and build a Stark Flight Lab Kuka arm that's more like a kiddie ride for, younger kids that still want to that still enjoy the Avengers IP and the characters and the superheroes and all that, and leave Infinity Defense to be the main e-ticket attraction that would take up the whole footprint, but would be phenomenal that everybody can ride.
Yeah, there were options here, and we're going to have to kind of see what they do with it. I mean, I don't know what they've laid out for us so far. I'm not really
Not
on
impressed.
board when it comes to the Kuka arm. The e-ticket, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
will be great, but
Sure.
the Kuka arm thing, I think there were a lot of different directions they could have and should have gone with.
All year long on our monthly DCA walkthrough and construction updates. Cannot wait to see where this project goes. And I just want to say it's exciting to have construction and development back in the parks. I missed it. Sadly, February 9th would be the final time that the red car trolley would cruise through DCA, essentially removing the final vibe ride of the park. But if I am being honest, in its final years, this ride had a diminishing experience in that you never really got to ride the rails for too long. You would take off here, stop in the hub, stop over at the animation building, and then stop again over at the edge of Hyperion. And most of that ride time was spent having the cast members having to tell everybody, please be seated, please keep your kids seated, please keep your hands inside of the trolley. And you had to stop for lots of guests that had their face down, lightning laning in their phones. So as I'm sad to see the vibes go away, a long time ago, I was sad to see that the ride had already gone away. Obviously, I would love to see this come back in one form, but I just don't know, as a theme park society, are we in a moment where we can actually have an attraction that needs awareness of people that are pretty much forced to walk through a park with their face in their phone. And the very end of February would kick off another year of food and wine at Disney California Adventure, which this...
Here's the thing though with that. And he's not wrong. Bricky is not wrong when it comes to like people get on the trolley and their face is down and they're booking lightning lanes while they sit in the trolley.
Sure.
But if we're at that point, right, where, people just are on their phones, kind of why bother? I mean, should we have Main Street vehicles then? Should we get rid of those? I mean, people are on their phones on those, I think, as well. I mean, you get on the double-decker bus and I'm sure everyone is just on their phones the same way. I don't know. I mean, for me, I think the red car added a lot of kinetic energy,
It did.
a lot of vibes. It did create a lot of issues for like entertainment with the overhead wires. I understand all that, but here's the thing: I was actually kind of apologizing for Disney when initially they did this, because I'm like, okay, look, guys. They're getting rid of the trolley, but it's because we're getting Avatar. Like, dude, we're going to get this crazy Pandora, and they're going to replace Hollywood Land with Pandora. So it's like, that's a perfect trade-off. But that's not even really happening. I mean, Pandora's going in the Muppet Monsters Inc. courtyard, that Hollywood Studios area, and the busload area. So it's not even, according to Disney, it's not even dipping into the trolley track. So we're losing the trolley kind of for nothing. And that's where I'm, if they would have put Pandora where the trolley was in the main Hollywood land, I would have been, okay, cool. That's a fair trade.
Sure.
But we're not even losing the main Hollywood Boulevard, according to Disney, and we're still losing the trolley. It just seems like a waste. Why would we kill it off?
See, this is what I don't like, because again, I've said it for a very long time, especially since I've known you, since I met you all those years ago. And I said Disney and Universal's guilty of it too, but Disney's the main suspect out of all of them.
Right.
Is that, you lose the immersion, you lose the magic, you lose the vibes when a company like Disney and Universal, I want to include Universal because I know we'll get comments, but mainly Disney, they force you to be on your phone. So instead of enjoying the magic, instead of enjoying the vibes, and instead of enjoying, all these things that make Disneyland great, and don't get me wrong, people still enjoy it, but many times where you want to book a lightning lane, or you want to do a reservation for a restaurant you want to go to, and they don't accept walk-ups, what's the common denominator between all of them? It's the fact that you have to be on your phone. And I don't personally like it either, even as a content creator, an influencer, being in the park. I don't like being on my phone unless I'm, filming content for the channel or whatnot, or maybe
Right.
I'm collabing with one of my fellow other content creators that I met up with. Fine. But I personally don't like being on my phone. If I'm going to pay the prices that Disney wants or Universal wants, and I have a season pass or a magic key, the last thing I want to do on my off day is be in a special magical place and be on my phone.
Right.
And that's something I don't like, but we're at that point now where it's like the norm. It would be weird to get rid of it when it's so integrated to almost everything you do at the resort.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. The phone now is such an integrated process with the parks, but even just big picture, even culturally with everybody just outside of the Disney experience. It's hard to undo that knot for sure.
Has become sort of the home to the festivals, designed with wider walkways that can accompany the food booths. Even though it seems that less and less food booths and offerings do show up, this is the park that is designed to make that experience happen. And DCA had another rough year, maybe the roughest year ever when it comes to live entertainment. The Hyperion Theater this year, hey guys, how you doing? The Hyperion Theater has sat empty, which is a crying shame, but there would be a lot of active live entertainment offerings that would go away. The not wanting to pay the unions, not working out well for the theme park guests. In March, Disneyland definitely went out of their way to really show what these new attractions are going to look like. More importantly, to kind of let people know what was going to be happening with the Iron Man focused training ride. Interesting to see that the ride's theme is training, which obviously goes with the overall campus vibe here. But I do think at some point fans really want to go on a mission. So hopefully the e-ticket is where the training ends and the mission begins. Because I think that narrative of you're always getting ready for something that maybe comes or doesn't come can get a little tiring, as that is a storyline that Disney relies on a lot when they write storylines for it.
Bricky's 1,000%. We touched upon this earlier on in the video. He's absolutely right about that. It's all training and no payoff, And then I feel like with the Kuka arm too, and I hate because I feel like I'm sounding really negative on this Kuka arm thing, but I'm not super. I'm open to it. We'll see how it turns out. But when you hear Disney talking about it, and they're pushing like this whole thing where like, oh yeah, you know, the vehicle starts on the ground and then the thing connects and lifts you up. It's like, but see, people don't really care about that. Like, are you even gonna see that when you're sitting there and it comes up behind you? Like, it's a selling point that I don't think anyone really cares about. Like, I think more people wanted like maybe like an actual battle or like
Yeah.
actual theming. Like, you know, the whole thing with like, yeah, the things didn't come up behind you and hook onto your vehicle and lift you up. It's like, and they were really pushing that in that video. It's like, okay. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone care? That's the thing. It's just I feel like with the Kuka arm, they're selling the wrong stuff, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah.
Theme park attractions. But sadly, in March, some of the opening day classics of Avengers Campus would go away. The Avengers Assemble, the rooftop show that would happen over here, that was something that started on opening day and had been going for quite some time, would go away. Now, it's probably construction related, so we'll give them a pass and think that live entertainment will come back. But also, the Sanctum no longer has Doctor Strange doing his magic show. Again, that structure touches construction, so maybe it's a temporary pause. But when we see all the other entertainment go away due to union disputes, maybe it's a permanent solution. Because meet and greet characters is one type of employee or actor, but actors that do shows or performances, and particularly stunts, that's a whole different level of union and workers. So really hope that it comes back, because it's a shame to make a stage and not do anything with it. But it's also a shame because this land in particular really does need that kinetic energy, that storytelling, to convert kind of an empty hallway into a Marvel.
So this is what we talked about even yesterday on my live stream on my channel with you and Sam Chat, is the fact that Galaxy's Edge is suffering the same problem where, you know, early concept art, and again, I know we shouldn't get married to concept art, but this is the one exception that I always say was when you look at Galaxy's Edge concept art, you had all these roaming characters. So you really felt immersed, like you really were in a Star Wars story. And you were immersed around all these characters and droids and you know, stormtroopers and all this other stuff. And Avengers Campus kind of followed that same thing. You call it Avengers Campus, and what is a campus? Basically, you have roaming characters interacting. And don't get me wrong, they have characters in the land, but like Ricky just said about the Doctor Strange thing, it's not like they shoved him in the corner and he's doing a show in a blank space. He's doing a show where the whole set was built around his character.
Right.
You know, it's a permanent installation, and then he went away. So now it just is vacant and doing nothing.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like the Rainforest Cafe building they built, and then they vacate, and now you got to figure out what you're gonna do with this Mayan temple in the middle of downtown Disney, you know?
Exactly. So I kind of feel that Avengers Campus is suffering the same thing Galaxy's Edge is, that kinetic energy is just lost.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a big problem.
Magic storytelling device. Hope to see all that come back. Sad those folks lost their job. But with entertainment largely being scrubbed out, you end up having a spot of the park like the Sanctum, which was the part that I was the most excited about just because of its unique design. But this kind of falls apart quickly without the characters, without the storytelling, without the magic. And park operations have taken upon themselves to go against the Imagineering design and start putting lots of tables and chairs in spaces that weren't designed for lots of tables and chairs. So Avengers Campus definitely in this moment trying to find its identity. I hope the new attractions help it get there, and I hope entertainment coming back helps it feel alive again. March would bring also a new detail on the other side of the lagoon when Toy Story Midway Mania would have a little digital update for the 70th anniversary, proving that there's still hope that show could get seasonal updates. I'm seriously lobbying for a Toy Story holiday version where all the games are like throwing snowballs, trying to get rings on candy canes. Like, it could make an unbelievable holiday experience. And now we know it is possible. And April would be quiet at the park. It would only bring the end to another food and wine season. But other than that, April was just spring as usual. And in a little real-time news, with Grizzly River Run currently drained, look how high the water levels are over in San Francisco, as this reservoir holds all the water for Grizzly River Run. The water is at its absolute peak of its tide, which is pretty awesome to see. All the little rocks that you normally see just piercing the water level are completely submerged, as it's actually carrying the load of 2 different locations in the park.
Oh, I do have to say
I love
real
this
quick about
civic
this.
engineering.
So that's the one thing I will give Michael Eisner credit for, is the fact that they were able to build this lagoon and use it as a reservoir system for other attractions in DCA, just like Walt did with Disneyland with the motorboat cruise area. I thought that was one of the best things he could have done, because now you're cross-utilizing a lagoon that serves multiple purposes and not just one purpose.
Yeah. No, I
So
like
that
that.
was brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. I love that.
Engineering of DCA. May would not only bring a celebration resort-wide, but something very, very important for the youngest citizens of Disneyland over at the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I was excited to see that the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse did get a refresh so that the little ones could have a spot in a controlled environment where they can run around, sing, dance, jump up and down. Like, it's such a great spot for kids. So I was definitely excited to see this get a refresh and not go away with all the entertainment cutbacks. In May, when the Disneyland Resort would start celebrating the 70th anniversary of Disneyland, DCA would get 1.5 nighttime options for guests to find a little bit of that anniversary magic. And one of those, the 0.5, showed up on the front of the beautiful Carthay Circle. Celebrate Happy, a little bit of magic every night, is a fantastic little projection show that takes place on the front of Carthay Circle. But it's one of those magic moments that blink and you miss it, randomly popping up over different times each evening. Just like we've seen during Oogie Boogie Bash, Carthay Circle becomes a storytelling canvas. I absolutely love the new technology of projection mapping. And Carthay Circle, telling a little bit of story of happiness right when you walk in the park, is absolutely perfect. Although very, very short, blink your eye and you might miss it. And although the decorations for the 70th were a little sparse on the park's signature landmark, I do enjoy that it was incorporated a part of the show, part of the festivities, and I would love to see more stuff like this happen to the front of this building, because after all, this is the first bookend in the timeline of Walt Disney's life and the timeline of greatness that exists between these 2 parks. So absolutely huge fan of this building, love seeing it get any love that it can. But obviously, this little miniature show that would happen on the front facade wouldn't be the only nighttime offering that we would see come to DCA when the resort was celebrating Happy. The second show that the 70th anniversary would bring, and man, oh man, that is my dream ride. People always say, what ride do you want? That's the ride I want right there. But World of Color Happiness would show up as the World of Color offering for the 70th anniversary. Out of all the nighttime entertainment, this would be the only new show that would show up. And this show would be largely themed around Inside Out, which would make me think that it would be very emotional and a great series in the World of Color history. But I have to say, I found the storyline to be completely hard to follow, really disjointed, lots of ideas going in lots of different directions. And I watched it 3 times, each time trying to figure out, did I miss?
I'm going to tell you this right now. World of Color Happiness, I could not agree more with Bricky. It was kind of like all over the place. It was hard to follow. I think the only benefit out of that entire show was the pre-show with the Muppets. I think that was the best part.
Oh, me too. You could have had the 5-minute Muppet thing and called it a day, and I would have been happy. The Muppet thing was beautiful. It felt like it was well put together. It was paced really, really well. And it felt like an homage to the old Muppet Vision show. Like, we're getting
Yes.
ready for the big show, da, 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 you know, and all the craziness that would ensue. Like, it felt very, very, it was so organic and felt so, it just worked. Ricky and you're both right. The rest of the show was very all over the place. This is the issue with a lot of World of Color stuff lately, is that they think that like just throwing everything in your face and, you know, it's very much like, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The original World of Color really flowed nicely.
Sure.
These new iterations are they're just cutscenes and it's all over the place and a lot of dialogue and I don't know. Bring back the old show. And that's
exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the things, you know, as we approach February, just starting in a couple days, you know, obviously February the 5th, if many people don't know, is going to be a Magic Key event for Magic Key holders at DCA to celebrate DCA's 25th birthday, but the actual birthday is February the 8th.
right.
And what I find interesting about it, because we talked about it with Sam Chat, I think when we're on your channel, OG, a couple weeks ago,
Right.
was that, you know, what could DCA do to kind of tie in to its 25th birthday? And I think we all said at one point or another, bring back the original World of Color show, like the original from when the park started. And that would be absolutely amazing. Then bring back maybe some of the parades you had, some of the entertainment offerings you had for the 25th anniversary. And obviously they're going to have probably theme merch and some food, which I'm okay with. That's amazing. But see, one thing we have talked about, and this was on a reaction video, kind of reacting to, again, Bricky talking about the third gate, and we'll talk about more of that with him on my show on this upcoming Sunday, is that the third gate, as he was talking and describing what could possibly be in there, possibly, and I know I'm going to get OG smiling, possibly a Westcott.
Right.
One of the things that we talked about was maybe that park would have an entertainment show, but it would be based off drones and have it a drone show. So you have 3 different parks. The original Waltz Park will have fireworks and projections. You have DCA with World of Color, and then you would have this third gate with the drone show.
Yeah. No, that would be awesome. And that would separate the third park and their entertainment offering from the other two. I think it's perfect. And you can do it over there. From what I understand, you could do it over there. I don't think you can do drones here because of the fly zone stuff, but over there, I think we would be allowed.
Something the previous time, and I ultimately came to the conclusion that it was the second worst version of World of Color that I'd ever seen. The first worst version is the bizarre Halloween one they made for Oogie Boogie Bash a couple years ago. Very few people ever saw it. That one was really bad, but not that the 70th show was horrible. It just wasn't up to the World of Color standard. How you guys doing? But I love this show. I love the purpose that it serves. And I think as far as technology goes, it's amazing. I would watch them show safety videos in this lagoon because it's one of the most impressive nighttime set pieces ever invented, and just a terrific use of technology and storytelling, even when the story didn't particularly resonate or land with me. But I did like seeing the Muppets in the pre-show.
Yeah.
And in June, we saw the permits get filed for the new Coco attraction that's coming on the far side of the lagoon. However, we didn't see construction walls go up until January 1st, technically making that part of this year. Next month, when we get back to just covering all the new things at the park, don't worry, I will be doing my first deep dive on the Coco construction, and hopefully by then I'll have some footage and progress footage to show you what's coming along over there. I am very excited for that project and all the new projects, and I hope they all show up. Like the Avatar Land, and the new parking garage. So far, nothing has been started, so it didn't make it in this quarter's budget. We'll check in next quarter to see, did it get slide in that one, or is it going to go further and further down the road until they finally have the money to get those projects going. I am debating doing a GoFundMe for Disney because it seems like they're having a little bit of a hard time right now. Strangely, in July, when the 17th would show up and Disneyland would officially celebrate 7 decades of changing the face of live entertainment, DCA would get no new additions. So all of its 70th anniversary offerings came back in May, and July would basically have no breaking news for this park, which part of me did kind of anticipate that they would hold a little something back for that secondary push and for the big celebration. But then again, everybody wants to be at Disneyland on July 17th, and I would have to tell you, it is probably the best day of the year to be at that park. It's full of all the people that love it for the right reasons. The second best day would be the first day of holidays, but the 17th is the absolute day that you just got to go to the park if you love it like Walt did. August would bring a short 2 or 3 day festival for Disney Junior. The Kids Festival only lasts a couple of days, but it really gives the youngest citizens a fun experience, a new way to see the park. And I think that is so important. Would love for it to be a month-long celebration, not just, I think it was either 2 or 3 days this year, but awesome that it still happens. And I'd like to see it get expanded because I feel like that type of stuff is important. And one of the cool things about DCA is that it has more space and a little bit of a slower tempo. And for a lot of the festivities that do pop up here, there are offerings for kids, like crafts and different stations where they can color. And you know, if you're a tourist, that probably sounds ridiculous, but there are a lot of moms and dads that make this a weekly or monthly stop for their kids at that age. And so I always get super excited when I see those little craft stations full of kids just coloring, creating, and having a great time inside of a place full of magic and creativity.
Now, hopefully he's right. I do like that as well. I think that is partly an answer to the fact that there's not a lot of stuff for kids in this park. Right?
Yes.
Hopefully with Coco, that alleviates a little bit of that. I don't know about the Avengers rides are probably not going to be super kid orientated. The Coco Arm, definitely not. Even the e-ticket, I don't know.
Avatar probably might.
A little bit because they're using that Shanghai Disneyland boat ride system. That might be okay for the kiddos, but not a whole lot for kids in this park. So to offset that with some arts and crafts is cool, but this park desperately needs like big family things, which is why I'm a big proponent of like the Avatar thing coming and Coco coming. And, you know, I mean, the Avenger stuff is awesome. I think the Avenger stuff is kind of like typical DCA fare. It's kind of like that, you know, that like teen to like adult thrill seeker kind of energy. But the Coco stuff and even the Pandora stuff is going to change the game, I think, for this park. So we'll see.
It's like a full circle moment. Like an example of Disney magic. I don't film this staff unless they're like a character where they're masked or they're an entertainer. But there's just a cast member back there with a bubble wand who's just like dancing around and filling the street full of bubbles. It doesn't take elaborate sets and a ton of money to make a little bit of magic. And a little bit of magic goes a long way during some of these dark days. Not dark days at Disneyland or DCA, like the dark days that exist outside of the burb. Let me just sort of explain that a little bit more. Now, in August, Disneyland, as a resort, kicked off the Halloween season. But for DCA, that means not only Halloween, but the coveted Oogie Boogie Bash, which I believe ran about 30 nights this year, and some tickets saw a 5% increase. However, it has largely been the same Oogie Boogie Bash now for quite some time. Other than a new villain showing up somewhere along the way or a possibly new location for a treat trail, it stays the same. And it probably will continue to stay the same as it keeps selling out even as Disney adds more inventory. And I am part of the problem because I cannot resist opening night of Oogie Boogie Bash because it does become one of those community moments in the park where that kind of intense Disney psycho crowd shows up, which obviously is my kind of crowd. But I might set it out this year. But I also say that every year I do just wish that they would change it up a little bit, especially since the prices keep going up and up and up. And
so you know how Bricky's saying about, you know, how it went 30 nights, and you know, he just talked about, you know, seeing the kiddos, you know, have arts and crafts stations and all that.
Right.
But the problem I see with Oogie Boogie, and Bricky's absolutely spot on. We've said it many times as ourselves, that there's not enough change with Oogie Boogie Bash to justify paying the upscaled price every single
Right.
year and trying to fight to get tickets for the exact same thing. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If they wanted to go all 30 days with Oogie Boogie Bash, I'm fine with that. But what if they changed the game a little bit and they actually had some nights, not all nights, but some nights where it was adults only over 18, and they made it a little bit darker?
Hey, I'm all for that. Thinking outside the box. I really like that, conductor. I agree with you. It does get a little stale. I've gone twice and it was essentially the same experience both times. You know, I don't really have a need to go back until I hear something really different coming to it, you know?
Sure.
And I don't know, it's hard to justify it. You're right, because I can go to Universal and I think Universal does their after hours events a whole lot better than Disney, at least lately. I mean,
Like,
HHN is a yeah, I mean, HHN is a phenomenal event. I really, really, really enjoyed FanFest. Although I do think this year's FanFest, they could have gone a little bit more ambitious than they did. But, you know, give them a little bit of a pass. It's still kind of a new event. But like, I don't know, like Boogie Bash. And here's the thing too. Are they gonna have it this year at DCA? I don't even know, because DCA, by the time that thing rolls around, I mean, Coco is gonna be in full construction swing. Pandora might even be starting at that point. I mean, you're going to have a lot of walls up. You might even not have the ability to even do a parade for a temporary time, even because
no space.
Coco. Right, Coco's right there where they come in and out of the float. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's a big question mark with that whole situation. Is it going to return or not?
they do it so many nights. This is the one after hours event to make if you could only make one, because it has 30 nights of selling tickets, which essentially it has 30 nights worth of budget to make it worth your while. And if your DCA brain works like mine, then you agree with me. This spot belongs to the Headless Horseman.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing better than when the Headless Horseman shows up in this location, other than when the best Christmas tree, there I said it, it had to be said and I did it, the best Christmas tree shows up here just days later. But I am lobbying for a Lillian Disney statue to be in here at the other time of the year. Although it technically doesn't make sense with the Walt storyline. I just want a Lillian statue somewhere in the park.
You know, there was initial concept. I don't know if people are aware of this, but there was an initial concept when the lead up to the opening of Buena Vista Street in 2012, that on one of the trees here in Buena Vista Street, they were going to have a carving on the tree. It was going to be a heart, and it was going to say Walt and Lillian.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I remember the Imagineers talking about that, and it never came to be. I don't know why. But that would have been a really, really cool touch. I was really looking forward to that, but it never happened.
Yeah, I personally think so. And don't get me wrong. You know, Lillian does have a window on Main Street USA in Disneyland. They finally did it. But I agree with Bricky. You have Walt, you have Roy statues, then you have the character statues. Why not Lillian somewhere? Whether it's out here in Anaheim, out there in Orlando, maybe Disneyland Paris.
I mean, come on. Lillian had the biggest impact on Walt. I mean, it was because of Lillian that we got the name Mickey, because Walt was going to name him Mortimer. And Lillian was like, nah, that's an ugly name. Like, it make it Mickey. Like, Lillian had such a huge impact. He had this amazing woman by his side. I mean, I mean, I don't know why. And look, it's awesome. She got the window, and not even just a window, like her own little balcony, right? That's awesome. but I would love to see some Lillian love at DCA. You know, at this part of Walt's story would be really, really cool. But hey, you know, we'll see.
Oh, there you go.
There he is.
Energizing.
September, October, November, DCA went on break as far as making anything new other than the holidays. So to celebrate that,
I will say this: if you're in Orange County, speaking of coffee, okay. Now this is not for like, if you can't handle caffeine, don't do this, okay? But if you go to like some of these Vietnamese restaurants in the area, and there's a lot of them over there, like in Westminster and what have you, a pho, like a pho place, like a noodle shop, whatever. If you get the Vietnamese coffee hits so different. I don't know how much caffeine content or how much caffeine is in those Vietnamese coffees, but I'm telling you, if you can handle your caffeine, those coffees hit something different. I mean, I'm telling you, man, it is wild. But again, it's not for the faint. It's not for like, if you can't handle caffeine, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? But if you're a caffeine person and you can handle your caffeine, the Vietnamese coffees, it's gonna wake you up.
So basically, in layman's terms, you'll to take a quote from the Looney Tunes, you'll turn into the Tasmanian devil with energy, right?
Oh, 1,000%, 1,000%. It's like a coffee like times 10. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Awesome.
I'm taking a coffee break in this portion of the video.
I love freaking.
What a relaxing September, October, and November. Thanks, DCA. I needed a break. And December would end up being a lot of announcements of new things that would be coming to DCA in this year, 2026. Letting us all know business as usual. Food and wine coming back, Oogie Boogie coming back. All the things we've come to love, like Lunar New Year, would find their way back into DCA with one major new announcement. December brings something that you won't really find as a news article or a headline or on Wikipedia, but I meet a lot of people at the park, and I'm so grateful for everybody that always comes up and says hi. And I try to do my best to hang out with everybody and to have a fun little moment and be like, hey, what are you doing today? Because I know I'm stuck doing this, but what are you doing today? And I try to steal a little bit of their magic. And December definitely brought in a new wave of talking to people, and those people all telling me that they were trying to prioritize and get their final rides of Monsters. It was their holiday trip, their once-a-year trip. They were worried it wouldn't be here when they return in 26 or beyond. So it was definitely sweet to see so many people prioritizing this attraction, and I hope Disney gives everybody plenty of heads up to get that final last ride, because Monstropolis, mouthful with Invisalign, Monstropolis Monsters Inc. is going away. Leave it all in, Adam. And hey, if you made it to December, give me just a little bit of moment to say something new that happened for Hey Bricky. This fall, I brought on a junior editor for the channel, my friend, Lil Adam. I nicknamed him Lil Adam because we all know who Big Adam is. But Little Adam's been helping me out with the channel, helping me keep the dailies going up. Definitely appreciate him being a collaborator. And fun fact, he took a raft over to Tom Sawyer Island, introduced himself to me, said, you ever looking for an editor? I'm like, absolutely I am. And we did a job interview on Tom Sawyer Island. And I said, I will definitely hit you up when I'm drowning. And this year I was drowning. And so Little Adam came on board and threw out to me a life preserver, and it's been a life changer. Thanks, bud. I appreciate you being on the team of two. And before we wrap up the year and give DCA its report card for the year of 2025, huge shout out to John Hale, who set his record of 15,000 rides on Radiator Racers. See, it's always the people that bring in the magic. You know, I always say Disney designs the park, but the people bring the magic, as well as amazing people that work here. I'm often touched by how many great people I meet here. Sometimes they have a name tag, and sometimes they don't. But this really is a place where a lot of dreamers get together to have a good time and I appreciate always being a part of it. Now is my unfavorite part of this series, where I'm going around and giving a year in review of Disneyland, which a lot of people didn't watch. I'd suggest checking it out. It's kind of cool to look at it all in a 12-month span, but because I think that it's important, I did today's for DCA. I'll be doing one for Downtown Disney, Disneyland Forward, and as well a 5th episode that will break down Disneyland's year in review of business, which a lot of people requested on the Disneyland one. But my unfortunate part of this video series is where I have to assess a report card and grade everything, and then give the final review for the year. And trust me, I would love to give everything A's, but this only works if I'm honest. So let's go. Now, for nostalgia, DCA's in a weird spot. It doesn't have the long history of Disneyland. It doesn't have the design of Disneyland. So for nostalgia, unfortunately, I had to give it a C. They just didn't do a lot to create extra history, and it's a little bit light on its own. Also, removing the red car trolley definitely kind of takes some of that California nostalgia out of Disney California Adventure. Now with value, DCA is in an interesting spot because the prices go up for the entire resort. And this park costs the exact same per day as Disneyland, which is an unfair advantage because Disneyland is the timeless classic, even though this year we did celebrate its time. But DCA just can't hang with Disneyland, and nothing really can. So already its value is going to go down a grade. But
yeah, and that's my big problem. And he's right. But here's my issue though, is that I don't feel like Disney really tries. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people in the comments will say, well, oh, gee, that's not fair. What about Coco coming? What about Pandora? Those are great additions. I understand all that. But there's not the same love and care that goes into this park from Disney that you see with Disneyland.
No,
there's just not. And you're, I hope I'm wrong with Coco. I hope I'm wrong with this stuff, but I just feel like if you were putting these same attractions in Disneyland, you would see completely different approach to these things.
well,
you know,
let me ask you this, because we've talked about it so many times that you have Disneyland steps away from DCA,
right?
Walt's original Magic Kingdom, and then you have Walt Disney World, which again, oh my gosh, Walt Disney had a hand in,
Right.
but he sadly passed away, and Roy kind of took over, finished Walt's dream for Walt Disney World, opened it, and it was a massive success.
Right.
Now, when it comes to DCA, again, we can debate for hours on this. There were a lot of things Michael Eisner could have done differently. He didn't.
Yeah.
And that's what led DCA to what it is now. But then when you look at the international parks, Disneyland Paris, Shanghai Disney, Tokyo Disney, you look at all these international parks, I kind of feel that they followed the creativity and just the nostalgia factor that Walt did when he was alive, and DCA is the only exception to that, where it's kind of just gone off the rails, off the path, and everyone has noticed it for years, especially us theme park nerds that break this stuff down compared to the normal soccer mom families that don't notice this stuff as much. So I kind of feel that's where I'm looking, what I'm looking at.
Yeah, because okay, look, I think Coco, the attraction itself, is going to be amazing, right? But putting it in that spot right next to the roller coaster and all this, I feel like it feels a little shoehorned in that corner. You know what I'm saying? I get it. It's Pixar. I understand that. And you kind of have some Coco presence there already with some of the shows and all that. But it does. You're kind of cramming it into the corner next to the Incredicoaster, right? Would they necessarily make that decision at Disneyland? No, I don't think they would. And this is my issue. I think with Disneyland, if you were to put a Coco boat ride in Disneyland, they would pull out all the stops to make sure the transitions are beautiful, just like they did with Galaxy's Edge, right? Same with Pandora. Okay, we're gonna put it over here in the Hollywood Studios area, and it's kind of off to the corner. Yeah, we could do Simba lot, but let's get it out here. Let's just do it. I just feel like there's less. And look, I'm not trying to say I'm not excited for these projects. I am. I think Pandora is going to be great. I think that Coco is going to be great. But I don't feel the same level of intensity when Disney approaches these projects at DCA.
Yeah.
If they were doing Pandora in Disneyland, believe me, they would move heaven and earth to make sure those transitions were freaking perfect, dude.
Well, see, it's funny you mentioned that because we've talked about this many times before, that I kind of felt like they would have taken the same energy and creativity if they put it in the Simba parking lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
And not just that, it's also like you mentioned with Coco. I kind of feel, and this is just my opinion, it's not what Disney's thinking, but my personal opinion is by shoving Coco in a backstage area behind the Incredicoaster, behind Emotional Whirlwind, and the fact that Coco as an IP ties into the Hispanic community that California is known for, and on top of that, that a lot of the citizens of Anaheim and Orange County surround Disneyland. It almost seems like Disneyland or Disney as a company is almost, the way I see it, almost shameful of bringing Coco. So that's why they want to hide it in the corner instead of taking full advantage and saying, okay, well, we're going to put it in this corner, but we're also going to take Paradise Garden and kind of incorporate that.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound ungrateful because I do appreciate that DCA is getting a lot of love. It is getting love. I just don't feel Disney puts 100% into DCA like they do with Disneyland. I just don't. I think that there would be a much different approach with these projects if they were in Disneyland. And that come full circle when Bricky talks value, and he's right, it is hard to compete with Disneyland, which makes it even more important to really ramp it up with DCA, to really go all the hell out with this park. And they just don't. Okay, we're gonna do a very moderate retheme of the wharf and turn it into San Francisco. We're gonna let the Hyperion sit there and just kind of rot. We're gonna get rid of kinetic energy with the red car trolley. They're not doing the park any favors in evening up that value statement.
No.
And this has been an issue for the park for the longest time. And honestly, the only time I think they've ever really went all out for DCA was 2012.
Yeah,
to be fair. I mean, when Michael Eisner built it, it was at its worst.
It was.
And ever since 2012, they've been kind of half-assing, phoning it in. Now we'll see. Coco, Avengers, Avatar. Let's see how these projects turn out. But I just wish they would invest as much love into this park as Disneyland. That's why it doesn't have the same value statement, or it's not even close. It's Disney's fault. I mean, it could definitely be closer to Disneyland than it is, but Disney doesn't want to put the money into it. And I don't know why, because here's the thing. If you're from out of state or you come from out of country, you are always going to go to Disneyland. Like if you're going to Disneyland Resort, there's no way you're missing Disneyland. But DCA is the expendable part of the equation. If you can make DCA a must-see, now you're locking in for sure 2 parks. I don't know why Disney doesn't see that. And they think that like Disney treats DCA like an add-on. So when you treat it like an add-on and an expendable park, well, your fan base is going to treat it like that. I'm sorry.
No, 100%. And the only thing I can say going forward is when they do touch the third gate, when they do, and they start building it, we will know literally the first day, maybe the second day it's open to the public, if they show more care to a third gate than they do DCA. That will be the absolute undeniable decision right there.
Yeah. they got to treat these secondary parks really well, because you're, like Ricky said, you're competing with Disneyland, and to get in there and kind of phone these things in, yeah, good is good enough.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable. I'm sorry.
But when we see that the tickets went up and not a lot was added to this park this year, even though there is value on the horizon. If we look at 2025 as a capsule in time, I got to give value for DCA a C. The ticket window would have been a lot better for value. But when we look at Disney Magic, again, a lot of Disney Magic is over at Disneyland, and it's intertwined with its nostalgia. So when I look at the magic for this park, I have to give it a C. It has magic moments, but it also has a lot of spaces that need to have their magic properly defined.
But here's the thing too with nostalgia, right? At DCA, he's right. The park isn't that old, so there isn't like a built-in nostalgic for the park.
Yeah.
But Disney did a really smart thing in 2012, is that they made, and Bricky has done videos on this, and I was actually on Bricky's channel a few months ago. We talked about this, where Disney started to tell their story, the Walt Disney story, right, with Buena Vista Street and things like that. So you can create new offerings like Buena Vista Street, or things that pertain to things that have nostalgia. Walt Disney is a very nostalgic thing for fans. And when you build a Buena Vista Street dedicated around him and his journey in California, it's built in nostalgic, even if it's brand new. So there are things Disney can do to make this park more nostalgic. They've already done it. The blueprint's already there. They've already done it with Buena Vista Street. But again, they kind of choose not to. That's the problem. You know, there's creative ways around this stuff. Go ahead.
Well, see, I'm going to tell you this straight off the bat, and this is something that we discussed last night on my live stream.
Right.
Was the fact that, again, when DCA was getting built, Eisner was the CEO. Then you had Bob Iger. Then after Bob Iger, you had Bob Chapek. Now you have Bob Iger again, and now we're going to have a new CEO. And the problem is, I hate to even say this, but I'm going to say it. When you have Michael Eisner, that turned down the original concept for Westcott and turned it into this, then you had Bob Iger come in as the new CEO. Then you had Chapek come in, and then you had Iger again because Chapek failed miserably.
Right.
You basically had the next 3 CEOs, even though one of the gentlemen were there 2 different times, but the next 3 CEOs neglect DCA. And now they're trying to recuperate by adding all this stuff in. And that's what I was saying last night with even Galaxy's Edge. Even though Star Wars is redeemable, but there was a lot of damage done in the process with building a $1 billion land and shortcutting things that probably should have not been shortcut, but it was. And then the whole thing with Lucasfilm. Right. This is the same thing here, because we've all seen the original plans of what Westcott was supposed to be for DCA. It looked phenomenal. It looked incredible, phenomenal, just amazing. But from what we got when it opened from Eisner to now, I think we can all agree the last 3 CEOs that we've had for the Walt Disney Company has ignored DCA.
Yeah, no, you're right. It has. They haven't lived up to what this park could do. 100% agree with you.
If I'm being completely honest and objective. Oh, the recommend to a friend is a hard one, because I love the parks, but if I had to recommend this park to a friend, my advice would be, if you've been to DCA before, I'd skip out. This year, not a lot was added. A lot of construction went up. It has struggled to keep things operating. If you've been here before, you're good for a while. Come back when the new stuff's done. But if you're coming here from out of town and you've never done it, it is worth the additional, $70 for a park hopper. So therefore, recommend to a friend, D, because I can't honestly make that recommendation to everybody across the board. And you kind of have to figure out, well, if you're coming to the park and you can only do one day, do not do DCA. And in fact, I always say,
and that's the problem, dude. And that's the problem, is that it's an expendable thing. And it shouldn't be. If it wasn't expendable, you would guarantee those park hoppers.
Yeah.
Because Disneyland's you're locked in for Disneyland. No one's coming to Anaheim and not going to Disneyland.
Yeah, that's not
That's
happening.
why it's important. Yeah, that's why it's important. This park is a must see, but Disney, they treat it like an add-on. So people treat it like an add-on too.
start here on your trip, because once you go to Disneyland, everything else pales in comparison. Now, ride up time with DCA is a difficult grade. It doesn't have as many attractions, so when one goes down or one gets put on its annual refurbishment, it's very, very noticeable. So when you have a park that has fewer attractions, when anything is missing, the ripples are much, much larger. In fact, they become waves. So ride uptime for DCA, unfortunately, have to give it a D. But with up to 4 new attractions on the horizon, which would be a net gain of 3 since Monsters, Inc. is going away, I do anticipate that a couple years from now, that could be a very, very, very different story, unless capacity is raised so much that we end up right back where we're at. Because new rides are always put in the park to raise capacity. So it becomes a bit of a balancing act. Cleanliness, oh, that's a hard one, because unfortunately, the immaculate streets of DCA, I have seen several times this year with just trash and nobody comes by to sweep it up. Like sometimes when I eat my lunch, I will keep my eye on trash or something that's in the street, and I will sit there for 20 minutes and realize that nobody picked it up. And then even though I'm not on staff, I will go pick it up myself. And also friendliness. I talked about this in the Disneyland video. I love so many of the cast members. They're such nice people. And I understand that many of them are put into a financial situation where this park doesn't pay a full living wage. We don't need to get into that whole debate, because some people don't think every employee deserves a living wage, which is a wild thing that I've learned from this project. But if I'm being honest, is it as friendly as it always has been? No. Is it as friendly as it should be, or the Disney level of friendliness? No. So there's your A and your B. Friendliness, unfortunately, hurts my heart. Got to give it a C. Don't be mad at me. So, friends, that is a GPA of 1.38, which is supposed to be a D plus. Or maybe if the teacher likes you, give you a C minus. I'll let you decide. D plus, C minus. It's up to you. But that's my report card. I hate this part of the video series. Well, friends, there is our coverage for 2025.
Yeah, another great video by Bricky. Go ahead, conductor.
No, absolutely great video. But again, I have to agree with them.
Yeah, me too.
And you know, when it comes to the cleanliness, I've seen it myself, and it's sad. And that's just further proving our point that DCA is not up to, and I'm going to say this, not up to Walt Disney's standards if he was alive today. That's the first problem. The second problem I see is that when Bricky talks about the cast members and their friendliness at DCA compared to Disneyland, even at Disneyland to a point, but mainly DCA. And then he talks about, you know, how some people feel that cast members don't deserve a living wage. I 100% disagree with anyone that says that, because I'm going to tell you right now, working in customer relations or customer service is one of the most challenging, difficult occupations you can do in the job force.
I agree.
Because you are dealing with all sorts of people, and you could be dealing with customers. You could be dealing with fellow companies that are trying to merge with your company or work with your company or whatever contract relations. I could go on, but the thing is, it's hard because you can't really pinpoint on someone's attitude. You really can't, because perfect example, me working at Costco, I see the same people weekly that come into my Costco and shop, whether it's for their family or for Instacart. There's some weeks they're enjoyable, they're lovely, you know, they love to engage with us, and then sometimes you could just tell right off the bat, the vibes is just, like, negative. It's like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, what happened?" So, it's not that I'm disagreeing with Ricky, but anyone that has told them that people at DCA or Disneyland do not deserve a living wage, I think is an absolute disgusting, disgraceful thing to say. Because like I said, customer service out of the job market and job occupation is
Tough.
literally the hardest thing you could do as a job is customer service.
I agree. And Disney has a very high standard. So they have to really even that's like it's customer service times 10, you know?
Yeah,
So well said. No, they absolutely deserve a living wage, 1,000%. It's hard to live out here in California. It's
it
not
is.
easy. I mean, you want to rent an apartment, it's like 2,500 a month, you know? I mean, it's hard in California. So look, I mean, the reality is the parks in California, you got to pay wages that can support somebody that lives in California. And that's just the way it is, you know? Now, I want to thank Bricky for his amazing video. We will see him on Sunday on your channel. We're going to pivot now to Dave from Fresh Baked. Walls are up at Rise, but why? The Disneyland construction update of January 23, 2026. Here we go, Dave.
The resistance is closed, but those walls out front are telling me a story I was not expecting. We'll come back to what they mean in a bit, but first, the construction story that sets everything else in motion starts in Disneyland Drive. Well, actually, Catella, where we took the same walk we've been taking every morning for the past few weeks, seeing the pink paint out there. That's still in effect, but there's been no visible updates since then. Also, still lots of action happening behind that fence there, just behind Radiator Springs Racers. A lot of whooping and hollering. They're still working on that space back there. So the effects of that are yet to be determined with respect to Incredicoaster and Coco. Reaching the Coco work site, we can see that the fence and all that, you know, the trees, etc. This pretty much is as we've left it the past few weeks as well. The path is still closed, and the lights are still on the trees. As we've noted, when we see those lights come down, that could be a sign that they're about to do something with those trees. If they don't come down, if those lights don't come off, those trees could be staying, obviously. Across the street, we got here a little later than we normally do, so I think all the active work was paused, either done for the day because they start pretty early in the morning, or they're on break or something like that. But there was no activity here. We saw a few vehicles, a few earth movers, etc., over the fence line, but nothing actively happening. We'll get up to the Pixar Place Hotel to see how things look from above. And this is interesting because this is now our third week going up here, and those the landscaping is still there. The shrubs, the hedge thing, that's still there. They've dug up the concrete, but they haven't dug up the actual hedge, which kind of fascinates me. That's very curious. I'm sure it doesn't mean anything, or I don't know. Why would they do that? Still looking for some trees removed. The only trees that have been removed are from that right Mickey ear, but there again, the actual concrete walkway, the sidewalk, has been removed almost all the way down to the corner. That corner being in the far right of frame, and then that's that backstage area where we watch that fence get put in. Got a pretty decent line of sight back there also for the actual Coco site. Hopefully that comes to bear fruit in the future, these views. And I just can't get enough of that view from the Pixar Place Hotel into DCA. But we're going to change our gaze to what's happening in Earl Sandwich, where from above, it doesn't look like anything's happening at all. But when we get down to the ground, you guys, I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared to see windows behind that scrim. They've actually installed the windows, and there's building.
Fun fact, this little area right here with the table and chairs has been, the past 2 years, has been the spot for the OG 55 meetup, right? This is the spot. This is where we meet up, you know. I am planning on doing another meetup later this year. I'll announce the date. We're not going to do August again because August is way too hot for everybody. We started doing August initially because it was D23 and we were there and we were doing our thing, but it will be another time of year coming up, but I'll keep you guys posted. But this is the spot. The last 2 years we've had the OG 55 meetup. So
You can see that they're building a room. There's walls up. They've constructed the drywall and everything that's been put up. They are actually building that second floor, which is going to be Gordon Ramsay's The Carnaby. And seeing that
now, fun fact about Gordon Ramsay, which I learned last night on Conductor's channel, we did a live stream with Sam Chat. Apparently, Conductor is a massive Gordon Ramsay fan. I did not know this about Conductor until last night, but I think that's pretty awesome, dude. I love that.
Oh, by far. It's funny because I was telling OG and Sam Chat, I said, you know, one of the things that I love about Gordon and, you know, just his food and all the restaurants he has all over the world, his shows, how he has his kids come in and help a lot. It's amazing. But two of the shows that I grew up as a kid watching, and I love watching it with my dad. It was amazing. The bonding experience was incredible. Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares.
There you go.
And I'm gonna say this on here like I did last night. When they announce a date for this Gordon Ramsay restaurant to open, I will personally call out sick. I will not show up to work, and I will be down there at the crack of dawn waiting in line because knowing Gordon, because usually, from what I understand, a lot of the restaurants he opens, usually he's there grand opening day. He was there the other day. That's why this is kind of semi-finished here with his, you know, logo and all that, because they did a media event,
Right.
and he was there. But I'm telling you what, if he's going to be there opening day, you're going to see me like a 5-year-old in a candy store. Because
Love it.
if I get a picture with them, nothing else matters. Nothing.
It's over. It's over. I love it. I love it.
this logo, if you will, out there in front of that building was really an unexpected sight that gave me a huge signal that they have been making a lot of progress behind that scrim where we have been waiting months. We've been waiting months for anything to happen here. And again, this week, just like the previous weeks, a lot of whooping and hollering. The sound that I'm hearing back there on this morning was the sound of drilling. They were installing stuff. They were drilling stuff into position.
I quite literally took my breath away. I haven't experienced a moment like that in quite a while. We're talking about Earl's Sandwich in downtown Disney, but that's how exciting this moment is. This is the first reveal of what is to come here in downtown Disney for Earl's. We've been waiting years for this. And my first thought was when I saw that scrim down and you could see Gordon Ramsay at the Carnaby, I thought they did that on purpose. There's no reason for that scrim to be down right now other than to get people excited about what's happening here. Seeing Gordon Ramsay's name up there, that's exciting. And it worked because I'm literally talking to the camera right now to you, putting this in a video saying how excited I am about that because I saw Gordon Ramsay's name on the building there at Earl's Sandwiches. We're not far. We're not far. By the way, if you're looking for Earl's, you can still get those sandwiches. There is that the portable building that they put in at the very back end next to Lululemon. You can still get your Earl's sandwiches there. Looking forward to trying the Earl's Pastrami. That's a limited time offer. You guys go get your Earl's Pastrami at the back of downtown Disney. We're going to the front of downtown Disney to look at some demo of the existing Earl's Sandwich. This Earl's Sandwich is dying so that the other one can live. And they have made a huge amount of progress in demoing that building. What you're looking there are just the support columns for that, for the proper entrance to Earl's. That's all that's left are those concrete pillars. It's very hazy this morning, so it was difficult to really get a good look, but I'm trying to find there it is. There's that guy he's picking up or moving basically rubble
that's on the ground and putting it in another spot, not actually demoing as we speak. And here's a view from the backside, from the center of the Esplanade, doing more of the same. What's left right now of that building, as we left it on Friday, was just the tavern side. The tavern side of Orla Sandwich and of La Brea Bakery is all that's left.
And not only can we see what's happening right now, but we can also hear it. I'm hearing a whole lot of whooping and hollering back there. It just sound loud. He's got some, oh my God, he had a bunch of stuff in his maw. You could hear a lot of banging and whooping and stuff being picked up and dropped and scooped. It is heavy duty action going on back there behind those walls. Think about it. Orla Sandwich and the Gordon Ramsay's, the Carnaby is almost here. And we're getting important. Downtown Disney has just been blossoming over the past couple of years. Parkside Market, the Parkside Market Cafe and the chicken and all that. And it's looking great. It's really, really looking great. The new shops and everything. Downtown Disney is going to be a place to be. It already has been, but it's really going to be a place to be when this is done.
We've got lots more story to tell in DCA, Downtown Disney, and Harbor Boulevard. But this story is one that has me really super intrigued. Walls are up at Rise of the Resistance. And as we make our approach to Rise of the Resistance, we can see in the distance those walls that have been put up at the entrance to the threshold. Actually, more than that. The walls are up covering a large part of that exterior part of Rise of the Resistance. There's the proper entrance, standby, and lightning lane. Access denied. Very ominous, right? But as I mentioned, those walls do extend beyond. They're not just covering the entrance. They're also covering the part of the queue. That's section 1. And the section 2 queues are behind construction walls as well. And as I kept looking to see how far it goes, I noticed that the gate was open. The gate's open. Wait, what? They interesting. You can walk back there if you want. You can go walk into the Rise of the Resistance queue. They've taken out the stanchions and put in benches, which is nice. I guess you need a place to sit. I kind of wish they would have put in actual tables and chairs so you could eat, but I guess you still could here, but it's not quite as easy. But benches have been installed instead of stanchions that you can keep going all the way down to section 3 and section 4. But that's where this ends. But you can freely walk. The guests are, I mean, I don't know how interesting that is to be able to walk through the queue, but there it is. That's a very curious and interesting decision that kind of goes towards what we're going to talk about in a minute in terms of what the status is of Rise of the Resistance. Back into section 2, looking into section 1. And this is where I noticed that maybe they are working on the queue. Maybe there is more to this project than what's happening inside.
Yeah, I think he's right about that. I think this is a queue project. They might be reconfiguring the queue. Maybe they're going to add a seating area, a permanent seating area to the equation when it reopens, something to that effect. I don't think we're going to get anything new in the attraction. I know a lot of fans are speculating that maybe it'll be like, they'll convert Rise of the Resistance like the OT or something. That's not going to happen, in my opinion.
No.
But they're probably reworking the queue, maybe to rework it and add like a seating area or something like that. That's kind of where my head is at. I know we talked about last night on your show, but what about you, Conductor? What do you think?
So actually, I kind of think that they're working the queue. They're probably going to do what you were mentioning, maybe do some touch-ups here and there, maybe fix the elevator problem inside the attraction. But any type of new elements to the attraction, maybe not now, but it's something they probably are thinking about doing in the future. Maybe. And that's
Possibly.
a big maybe.
Yes, absolutely.
Side, because there's a bunch of hard hats back there. They're in the lightning lane portion of the queue on the right side of things. But there's 4 hard hats back there working on, I don't know what. I mean, clearly they weren't like building or doing any kind of painting. There was nothing active, but they were scoping something out. And then if we move down a little bit to the side again, as I'm snooping my way around, the queue is open, you guys, so I'm not out of line. But I, scoping out those, they're not Imagineer helmets though. Those are white. Imagineer helmets would be brown. So these are just, maintenance of some kind.
Now, the thing that's curious to me about all of this isn't so much that they're doing the refurb. Obviously, we knew about this for a while, and we know that it's never had one before. So if anything, it's due. It's late for this. What I wasn't expecting were the walls. The walls are suggestive of something more, well, not permanent, but longer lasting. If it was down for just a couple of weeks, if they were just doing work on the inside of the attraction and it was just going to be a couple of weeks, they might not put those walls up. There's a lot of effort and expense to do that. But they're putting those walls up to really send a message. Rise of the Resistance is closed. They're really sending the message. Nothing's happening back there, and it's not going to be happening there for a little while. Also, that is suggestive of perhaps that they are working in the queue. We just saw, like I said, the cast, the engineers, etc., inside there. I don't know what they're doing, but they're there. So they could be doing some sort of maintenance out here in the queue as well. So the fascinating aspect of these walls being up isn't so much that there's a Rise of the Resistance refurb happening. It's the extent, the scope of it is perhaps a little more than I thought it might be. Now, it's not enough. It's not enough, though, you guys, to get all the way to this becoming a original trilogy update. They're not doing that. They are not updating this to the original trilogy.
No way.
I'm 95% sure that, mostly because Disney has never been bashful about promoting things. They've never been bashful about creating energy and excitement about a future thing. If anything, they're usually too early on that kind of thing. Like the Smuggler's Run news, that was they broke that like a year and a half ago. So they broke that so early that I thought it was happening in 25, but no, it's 26.
Yeah, no, he's right. And they just announced like a week ago all these Galaxy's Edge changes. We're getting the OT, more OT in this land. We're getting the John Williams music. All this stuff was announced. If there was any changes to the era of Rise of the Resistance or any major changes to the animatronics and the storyline, they would have announced it then. Dave is right. It's going to be, I think, a queue reconfiguring. They're gonna reconfigure the queue. Maybe they'll add a permanent little spot for like tables and chairs. I think Florida recently got something like that too. So I think that's kind of where we're at with it. But exciting nonetheless. Look, it's never had a refurb like this, so I mean that's exciting. So
Definitely.
So anyway, if they were planning an original trilogy update, it would have been included in that update for what they're adding, the new characters. They wouldn't surprise us. They're like, oh, we didn't tell you, surprise. That's not a thing. They're not going to do that. So it could be happening sometime in the long-term future. Years we're talking, perhaps, but no, I think that they're good with this attraction as it is right now.
This is a very fascinating story for me, and I'm looking forward to watching this develop, seeing how long. Who knows? This could be months before they're done here. My guess, though, is still it'll be done prior to at least April 29th when they bring in the original trilogy characters. I don't expect it to go anytime beyond that. They will not launch those characters in the land before Rise of the Resistance reopens. That's my expectation.
I mean,
just want to put eyes on this real.
But here's the thing, though, to play devil's advocate here, maybe that's one of the reasons why they're deciding to do it now with the OT characters is because that ride will be down and they need something to bring people in because Oga's is closed too, right?
Yeah, Oga's, Rise. They're gonna temporarily gonna close the store next to Kylo Ren's ship. I forgot what it's called, the First Order store.
Yeah.
They're gonna retheme that. And then they're gonna do some reconfiguration in some of the areas around the Millennium Falcon, Droid Depot. So it makes sense that they're doing it now. Right. But I do think eventually, maybe not now, maybe not in a couple months, but eventually, I think Rise will go down probably for a year. And I hate to even say that, but probably for a year.
Right.
And we're going to see classic OG characters be installed into that attraction.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's going to happen, I personally think, but who knows? I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, you never know. Maybe eventually they will.
real quick on our way out of Galaxy's Edge and into Disneyland proper. Look at how well Ray's Berets is doing. Look at how well he's doing. That's so good. The grass up there is beautiful and full, no longer in jeopardy. It is looking terrific. Very green, very lush. Love to see that. Sailing ship Columbia on our way out. Also, we saw there were some coverings on there. The attraction, as far as I know, is not closed yet. Well, it will be by the time you see this. Columbia is closing on January 26th, I believe, and then reopening 4 days later. But it's parked in dock right now. Still time though to pick up your order of rum or eggs or potatoes if you plan on making a trip on the Columbia. And of course, as we mentioned last week, the Mark Twain is definitely on the water, looking grand as always. I love watching the Mark Twain come around the river on this side. This is a great opportunity to remind you guys of our preferred travel affiliate, Getaway Today. If you are looking to book a trip to Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Aulani, a cruise, whatever, if you're looking to just buy.
Now, a lot of people have asked me, why do I sit through the ads? Because Dave does a lot of work on this content, right? He puts the work out there for all of us to enjoy. We are privileged to be able to react to his content. So, I think it's the right thing to do to at least get the word out for his sponsor. So people ask me sometimes, and I just want to give a little clarity as to why I do sit through the ads and don't fast forward, because, Dave's putting the work in. We're privileged enough to be able to react to it. So let's hear from you.
It's a sign of respect.
1,000%, brother. 1,000%.
Buy some tickets. Please do consider using our preferred travel affiliate, Getaway Today. They are awesome folks. They will take good care of you. They will take care of your entire trip. They'll plan everything for you. They're amazing. Supporting them is supporting a wonderful family operation, and you're supporting Fresh Baked. I do hope you guys have a great trip. Thank you. Now we're going to take you back out to downtown Disney next, but stick around because we've noticed some things at Disneyland, more things that are really curious. But here's a surprise. More walls up in downtown Disney. This was kind of a surprise and unannounced, which suggests to me that they weren't prepared, obviously, and that this was not something that was planned. It looks like a tree has been removed from downtown Disney. If we just sneak a peek where that planter is, there was a tree there. Probably died. Probably something similar to the Pirates situation where they couldn't keep it going. There was some speculation maybe when I first saw those that it might be the fountain, because Liz reported that for us, and we couldn't see over the fence at the time, but the fountain is still there. We will update you also from downtown Disney. The Lego store is still going through some things. That section there where Belle and Beast were, that's still a pending situation. We're waiting for that to happen. Tortilla Joe's, nothing is happening. We're going to keep an eye on that bucket. When something happens to that bucket, that's our sign that something's going to happen at Tortilla Joe's. But otherwise, there's still no action there. The walls have not moved or anything. Standing by. We're going to go into DCA. Look at that. As we mentioned last week, Lunar New Year is here. Hopefully you guys watched Liz and I, our tour around all the Lunar New Year foods. We had ourselves an amazing day. Hope you guys watched that video. Looking at the Pixar Pal Around, and I was going to talk about that, but then I noticed, do you guys see that back there? The Incredicoaster is testing. I don't know why, but that makes me so happy. So for the next 30 seconds, I'm going to visibly obsess about seeing all those rides. There you go. There's another one. All the Incredicoaster.
Now I will say that's a great thing for sure. I agree with him on that. The one thing that bothers me when Disney does this, when Disney has the World of Color platform above water, this is bad show, conductor. It's really ugly. Bad show. Yes, it looks rusted. Maybe it's not. I think the coloring is actually not rust. I believe it's actually the dyes or whatever they put in the water and stuff like that. Yeah. But it looks rusted. It looks dirty. And you have guests walking through this park all day long, and they see this metal monstrosity out there like that. It just kills the whole vibe. You don't even really want to take a picture. I don't know. No. I know logistics sometimes gets in the way of like the reality and all that. I understand that, but this happens way too often in this park.
It does.
And it's sad to see. So I just want to say that.
Ride vehicles going around the track. Here we go. Here's one. Always great. Oh, look at that. What a beauty doing that loop. Fantastic.
What a beauty.
The sound of the Incredicoaster, reverberates all through DCA. It makes me super happy. We got a car or a on the track ready to launch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it goes.
Bada boom.
Sweet. Meanwhile, obviously the queue is empty, but there's nothing happening. Still, again, just like last week, nothing's happening. There's no crew out there. They're not doing any paint. They're not doing any refurb. There's no scrim and scaffold. There's another Incredicoaster track getting tested. Another one. Oh, here comes the loop again. Yeah. So great. Oh, one more launch. Let's do it. Okay, I'm enjoying this very, very much. This makes me so happy. It's not the same. You can tell though that the white track there, the repaint, it's already showing its scuff marks from the launches of all those Incredicoaster vehicles, but that's okay. We're gonna get on the pal around, the Pixar pal around, to see what's up in Coco, which is obviously same status. Again, I think we're waiting until after February, after that, whatever it is they're doing back there for or behind Raider Springs Racers, and after the Run Disney event. We won't see anything happening here until then, but it's getting close. Run Disney's next weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Let's turn our gaze over to Avengers Infinity Defense, which, like every other week, I just can't make any sense of what they're doing back here. Not that it's confusing. It's just it's hardly visible. There's just everything is so dense now that I'm not sure where we're at in the stage of things, what they're actually building. There is Cozy. What is that black rectangle there? It looks like a traffic sign. Like they're telling you that there's a signaler on the 5. We'll have to investigate that further. Caught a view of May May, Panda May May. She's on site now for Lunar New Year, entertaining guests down there at the Pixar Promenade. And I can tell you, she was very popular on this morning. I'm trying to look at that queue. That queue that's probably a 30-minute queue to see May May. And that was at 9 in the morning, probably, maybe 9:30.
Wow.
And then we'll take one quick look more at Avengers Infinity Defense as we pass by. Man, that's a big building. The size of that building tells me this is more than screens. We've talked about this past, but the size of that building suggests this is going to be a very practical attraction. There will be screens, but it will also be quite practical. Back on the ground, Emotional Whirlwind, Scrim and Scaffold are down. I thought they were testing the gondolas because they were all empty, but no, this attraction is open. I mean, it's pretty early. Again, it was like 9:30 when I shot this, but that is an open Emotional Whirlwind. There will be some guests making their way around there eventually. Grizzly River Run, also still closed. We don't have a date on that. We'll get into that more in a little bit. But yeah, the river is still drained. No active work here on this morning. I couldn't see or hear anything back there. Same sort of condition status as we saw last week. Walls are still up, of course. I don't see any sort of activity centered around the geysers, although I'm hoping that they're doing something with the geysers because those weren't working the past month or two before the closure. Last week, it looked like I saw a bunch of boards, like for the surface, for the walking surface. I'm not sure if they've installed those or if those were the existing boards back there on that little viewing area. But that is a situation that is actively being worked on. We'll keep checking next week to see if there's any more visible signs, but we do have signs of something here at Napa. Looks like they put a bronze topper on whatever that stone structure there is on the outdoor patio. That's really the main visible sign, but we also have very overt clues as to reopening. Disney has confirmed that Napa Rose is going to reopen on February 6th. Okay. Here's the concept art that Disney has provided on what that outdoor patio is going to look like.
Now, conductor, I know it's very easy for you and I to sit here. We're not construction experts. I understand that.
Yeah.
But for as long as this has taken, does this patio look like it would take you that? I mean, I don't know. It's been a year. That's all I'm going to say. It's been a year. It looks great. It does, but it's there's not a whole lot to it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay. Let me try to be civil here and not negative. Okay. So it took Disney a year for this patio, but also the restaurant. So I'm gonna split. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I'm gonna go 6 months. Okay.
Okay. That's true. That's fair. The restaurant as well.
Okay. So just 6 months for this patio.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Because my parents moved into a new home about a year ago,
Right.
and they've been doing remodels here and there. And I could tell you one thing: they have a contractor, really nice guy. His name's Jesse. He could probably build a miniature version of this in their backyard, which they're planning on doing. They're planning on building the beam patio, the permanent patio that connects to the roof, and some other stuff. I could tell you that stuff, all that stuff that we're looking in this picture here, he could probably have that installed with other contractors within 3 months or less.
Yeah. It
And
takes
that's
Disney
in
way
Alaska
too long.
County.
Yeah, it takes Disney way too long. It really does. This is
Yeah.
a project that will look nice in the end. I'm sure of
I'm
it.
sure.
It'll look beautiful. It will. But come on. Yeah, it's been a long time for
Yeah.
what we're getting, you know.
Now, I don't see or check that. I do see. Yeah, I think that is it. It's going to be a fireplace of some kind. And it's not the only one, but according to this concept art, that bronze topper is probably, well, however that fits in with an actual exterior fireplace. This is going to be a separate dining experience than what's available inside the restaurant. There's separate pricing and everything for those tables out there. But that's just one of them, actually. We've been watching this little stone thing being built over here on the entrance or exit to the Grand Californian. Looks like there's another bronze topper there. So that's going to be another fire pit in that location, which I'm wondering, are they going to put guests back there? Because there's not a lot of room in that space back there. And
There's
it's right next to where guests are entering and exiting the Grand Californian to DCA. So it's kind of a curious place for that fire. I'm not sure how that's going to work in. It looks like we've also got some pricing details for Napa Rose. Okay, so
So I wanted to ask you about this. Looking at the pricing, looking at the different options, do you think this is worth it for the average Disneyland guest, or do you think Napa Rose is trying to tap into that higher end market
Oh,
that we're seeing with Downtown Disney with all the, Din Tai Fung, Gordon Ramsay,
yeah.
that kind of Steakhouse 55 Arthur restaurant with the barbecue place. Hopefully that comes. Do you think that Disney is smart by pricing it this way, or do you think they're kind of out of bounds and eliminating a lot of potential revenue by having high prices like this?
I don't mind. I don't mind it. I don't mind it because there are other options for people with that don't have this budget. Like
Oh, sure.
you can do the in-park stuff, which is like a lot cheaper, like, award wieners or smoke jumpers, or there's a lot of other more affordable options. But then you
Sure.
have this kind of sit down fancy option for the people that want to do that thing. So I'm
Yeah.
okay with it as long as it's a balance, though. You don't want everything to be Napa Rose. You know what I'm saying? You want to have it kind of balanced out. I think right now, I think they're fine. But
Yeah. I,
that's where I'm at.
I'm gonna tell you this though. We gotta get together, me,
Okay.
you, and a couple other buddies. Maybe Tommy when he's down here. We definitely gotta do a night here, maybe at the chef's table or something, and really, I want to see OG in a blazer.
Oh, hey, dude.
Vote in the comments if you want to see OG in a suit, because you've all seen what I look like in the suit.
We
I want
have.
to see what this guy looks like with the collared shirt, the suit jacket.
Oh, yeah,
I want to
dude.
see. I want to see Tommy, dude. All three amigos walking in there, sitting at the chef's table.
Oh, hell yeah, bro.
Dude, we're booking it.
We're booking it. We're booking it. Pinky's out. We're going super fancy. Let's do this.
this is per Theme Park IQ. Again, reopening on February 6th. Reservations will be available starting January 27th. So that's actually on Tuesday, the day after you guys watch this video. There's the Vintner's Table menu at $188. That's price fixed, which means that you can also order a la carte, so prices are varied there, but there is a price fixed menu. There's the chef's counter for $250 per person, and then a private dining room for 12 guests, $300 per person plus $1,600 room fee.
God.
And the dining room, I thought these were separate, but it looks like the dining areas are the main dining room and the outdoor terrace, so you could get either one. All of this starts on February 6th. Reservations available on January 27th.
Holy Lord.
We'll keep this story going in DCA by checking out Avengers, the restrooms. There's that traffic sign. It's actually just scrim. The rectangular thing I saw was just scrimmed, but it looks like they've built some sort of temporary stairway to get to the top of that building. So they're installing, the roof or working on the roof features of that structure. So that's what the scrim and scaffold is for, is to hide that stairway probably. Going into Avengers Campus to go check out. Oh, look. Hey, Spider-Man. What's up?
Oh,
I love that when I get to walk right by Spider-Man. That's great. Again, as we mentioned, same kind of story that we saw from the top of the Pixar Pal around. Mostly just the truss system up there being installed. We're seeing more of those vertical supports that are starting to put this thing together and starting to.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the truss system, as Dave calls it, or this. You're right. Ever since you told me the Six Flags Magic Mountain entrance, I can't unsee it.
Yeah,
that's what I see now. Yeah, it does. It has that same style, motif, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have an open mind. We'll see. It might turn out really, really cool. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you.
Close things in. Progress. What does this mean for timeline, though? Man, I still feel like we're a very long way away, to be honest. It was moving quite briskly, but that's typical when you start seeing vertical going up. We've still got more than a year, I would say, for them to build that thing. We're going to check around the corner here to see if we can see anything of the restroom back there. There's that black scrim again. So that's still going. One last look at the truss. Looks pretty standard. Let's keep going. Let's go to Mission Breakout, where they have sort of demo of what used to be the Fast Pass kiosk. That front facade is still there. It looks like they've torn down the back and top of that structure. They're going to put in some tables and chairs back there. Mission Breakout. Here's something. As soon as I turn the camera on, Charlie and Bravo were open within, 10 or 15 seconds. Bravo and Charlie were open. I hung around for a little while, and then finally the far left one, Alpha, opened up as well. So we have 3 elevators running as of this morning.
All right, so 3 gantries running. I don't know if that's a permanent condition or not. I don't know if that's something that's going to be, that doesn't reconcile with my previous information that I have been receiving about what they're doing here. Could be just for this week, temporarily, I'm not sure. But seeing Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie all operational results in a 15-minute wait time here at Mission Breakout at 10:43 in the morning, which is pretty damn good. It's certainly that. I mean, I haven't had a 15-minute wait time even at Rope Drop, so now's the time. If you're here, get in the Mission Breakout queue today.
Quick stop at the Hollywood backlot to check in on Monsters Inc. If only to tell you that there's still no action back here. This is a situation that is. I feel like there's delays happening here. Something is being delayed with either Avengers Campus or with Monsters Inc. demo or with the Eastern Gateway or all of those things. That's kind of, they all follow in lockstep, one after the other. So the first domino needs to fall. And I think that first domino is going to be Avengers Campus. It could be a little while now before we see anything happen here at Monsters Inc. Let's get back, though, to Disneyland for some of those stories that I was advising you of. But first, we're going to watch more demo of the exterior area outside of Earl of Sandwich and more of that debris being shuffled about behind those walls.
Oh, mercy. Yes. Oh, boy. He's just moving it from one spot to the other.
It's crazy to think about, like, all that stuff, all that wood and all that material has been there for 25 years.
Yeah.
And this thing comes in and just rips it right out in 30 seconds. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Do that again.
It kind of looks like the Doctor Strange sanctum over there in Avengers Campus right now, doesn't it?
It kind of does.
It kind of does. It's crazy.
I think he's just nudging stuff around right now. Putting it where he wants it, maybe. Now get a scoop. Down there, get down there. Get a scoop. There we go. Another scoop. Hungry excavator. Ah, come on.
Oh my God. Too funny.
One more scoop. There we go. You got it? Yes, we do. Yes. Awesome.
Okay, inside Disneyland Galactic Grill, there's some walls up. This is that section along Galactic Grill where the restaurant connects with that main, the Star Tours and Buzz Lightyear areas of Tomorrowland. Walls are up there. They're repainting. And you can see already there was scrim and scaffold up here. That is down, revealing what looks to be a new paint job up there, a new color scheme. I don't believe that was white before. What that means, I don't know. It's very curious, though, that they felt the need to change the color scheme. I'm looking forward to seeing how that looks when it's all done. Checking in real quick at Adventureland Treehouse. Last week, we reported that the wheel had stopped working in addition to the buckets, which haven't worked for months, maybe 4 or 5 months. Wow. I wanted to see, it's okay, is there anything else? So I stepped inside, and you guys know what I found? The whistle, the tea kettle, it's still there. It's still present, but I'm pretty sure it's not as loud as it was. I think they turned down the volume.
Now, I got to say, that's the kind of thing that I'm normally pretty well attuned to. That sounded like it was at a lower register, a lower decibel. It's still there. They're still placing the sound, but it's fainter than it was before. When I backed up, obviously, you used to be able to hear that sound from anywhere in the tree. I bet if I were to go up to the top of that tree, I wouldn't have heard it at all. So that's pretty great.
We're going to head over to the monorail next to notice that there are still no waterfalls running. We're going to get on this monorail right here. Fantastic. How delightful. I love this. I absolutely love the monorail. Okay, what do we see? Looking at the Earl of Sandwich site from the monorail. It's hard to see through these trees. We're going to try to pick it up. There it is. There's that excavator there digging up as we speak. It's not working on the building itself, but the concrete and all that surrounding areas outside. Well, actually, there was building where that is. It's probably clearing out the foundation is probably what he's doing right there. Is the foundation and other debris happening there. Wow. That's with the phone. Should we take a look again also with the pocket? Man, there's a lot more going on. Oh my gosh, they got 3 dump trucks back there and a little temporary workstation. Fascinating. I can't wait to see how that's going to be a little while. Obviously, those walls are going to look for those walls to get extended, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, to get extended out and block the path in downtown Disney. We'll cover that when it happens. Troubadour, still waiting for them to finish the roof job at the Troubadour. And here is the current state of the Fantasyland Theater, where they are striking the set and are about to install the new Bluey set. And then we're going to end this story on Harbor Boulevard, just checking in on some of the paint situations. This lot was empty. We saw the new paint here about a month or 2 ago. No change here. They're back to parking vehicles again. This is cast member parking. Wow. We're standing by for some time after February to see if any action here happens, although I'm getting less and less sure that is the case. Out here in front of Disneyland, there's Mission Breakout. That's where they've completed their work, adding the new infrastructure to provide more power, more energy, more electricity to that part of Disneyland in order to build Avatar. Turning around the other direction, no updates here on the Eastern Gateway or what is the current cast member parking lot. We saw some activity here last week. Crews were out there working. You can see right there, that's where they've already, that blacktop, that's new blacktop surface there. I'm not sure if this is new or not, because I haven't been out here on foot for a while, but a lot more of that color paint, yellow, red, blue, and white, getting ready for something. That is the state of things on Harbor Boulevard. That is the state of things in Disneyland construction. And we're going to wrap.
Now, I want to say a huge shout out to Dave. He does amazing work, as well as Bricky. We love these two gentlemen. They do phenomenal content. I'll be linking both of these gentlemen's channels in the description down below. Make sure you, if you're not subscribed to these guys, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Go and subscribe to Dave. Dave has 2 channels, and so does Bricky. Check both of them out. Conductor, I want to thank you, brother, for joining me. I love doing these with you, brother. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
So actually, you know, the start off with Bricky's video,
Yeah.
I was not surprised about the report card that he gave DCA. I think he was very fair. I think a lot of things he brought up with Avengers Campus, you have Coco, and then the whole trolley thing. And it's funny because I was going to mention about the trolley. I said, or I was thinking it, I'm like, well, if they did bring it back, let's say they did. And let's say the third gate, and this is all questions I'm going to ask Bricky on Sunday as well. But if the third gate becomes a version of Westcott, just hypothetically saying, if it did, and they moved all the festival booths over to the third gate, and as short as the trolley route was when the trolley was active, and if they decide to bring it back, I would not mind them extending the track. Instead of just going to the left, it can also go to the right and kind of ride alongside the pathway that kind of goes around the bay where World of Color is. I think it would be a little bit of a nightmare. I'm not gonna lie, because people don't pay attention. But if they were going to bring that back, I think it would be amazing, and they can extend it. So that's my thought on Bricky's video. On David's video, there was a lot of interesting things that he pointed out, like the Rise of the Resistance thing with the walls going up.
Right.
I kind of felt like there's a lot more work than what we thought that they're doing, which is great.
Yeah.
We got Downtown Disney, a lot of updates there happening, especially with the former Earl Sandwich building. And I told you right from the beginning that they had that scrim up. There was a reason for that, because as they're demoing the building, the old building, they didn't want dust shooting over the wall and debris. Right. That's why that's there. So
yep,
kudos for me for calling that out, because I had a feeling. I just wasn't sure.
You got it.
And then, like you said, Bricky, David, for the amount of effort they put into these Disneyland update videos.
Yes.
It's just phenomenal. And you will hear me repeatedly say that to Bricky on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because both of us have spent time with them at the park, and the guy is just, I call him the modern day Walt Disney. He just has that mindset.
Well,
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's why I love doing these videos. We put a spotlight on the creators that we love and respect. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's Dave and Bricky. A lot of times it's Dave and Bricky. And sometimes, like last week, it was the Park God and Christian Harloff, right? But it's cool to showcase all these amazing creators in our community, give them, you know, the spotlight here on OG55, and then we can kind of chime in and give our reactions to it and what have you. I just love that. I love that. Bricky and Dave, stand-up dudes. They've been part of this community for a real long time, doing phenomenal content. They're out there in the parks doing the work, you know? So I love to spread the word on both of these guys. And so if anyone at home, by any chance, you're not following Bricky or Dave, do yourself a favor, in the description down below. Now, before we get out of here, we have the lovely, the one and only Miss Mimi Fan. She does our lovely outro here on OG55. She's a friend of the channel. Make sure you check her out. She has a lot of food and lifestyle content. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her here on YouTube. Information down below. She's always going to these spots that the food looks absolutely amazing. Those eggs, dude. Like I've been like on an eggs kick. I don't know what it is. I've been having like a lot of scrambled eggs, but yeah, I've been doing eggs lately, dude. But check out Mimi Fan on Instagram, also on YouTube. And we cannot forget the one and only Jared from Capture the Magic. CTM Apparel, if you want a nerdy t-shirt like this one, whether it's Disney, Universal, Nintendo, whatever it may be, Jared is your guy. If you use promo code OG55, you'll get 10% off your order. So make sure you check him out. Jared's been on the channel a lot. He is a family here at OG55. Literally, there's a video that was dropped today about Bob Iger, me and Jared. He's on here all the time. We do a bi-weekly show called Theme Parking with him and our good friend Theme Park Philosophy. So make sure you support Jared. Get yourself a t-shirt. Promo code OG55. Conductor, it is always an honor and a pleasure having you on board, sir. I want to thank you for joining. I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of OG55 this week on Disney YouTube. And until next week, everybody, see you later.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.